I'll just have a cup of coffee.
Beer it is.
No, I said coffee.
Beer.
Coffee.
B-ear.
C-O.
B-E.
What? No. No. What? No. What? You went into the attic? I'm very disappointed and terrified. Why don't you bring this potato? It's pretty big.
Mom, you're always trying to give me potatoes. What is it with you?
I just think they're neat. Why do birds suddenly appear over there, over here? 8 spices. Some must be doubles. Oregano. What the hell? Oh no, not Lenny. Not Lenny. Kids, turn off the TV. I have some bad news about Lenny.
Not Lenny!
Live from the epicenter of independent cinema, it's Film Stuffs with your host, Jake S. Weisman. Tonight's guest, Chief Executive of Expression of Cool Stories Incorporated, Dundadah Bartholomew. With me, the original Opie Taylor, Jack Quint. Let's start the show!
What's happening, film dorks? Welcome to Film Stuffs Live. I am so excited about this week's episode. We're talking to my buddy DB, and we will get into that in just a little bit. We'll dive right into our conversation. We do have to cover a little bit of news. What's the news? We are opening Fast and the Furious 9 this week, so things are going to gear up. Pretty soon Black Widow will come out, and then soon enough, movies will be like they always were, and we will be shoulder to shoulder in a windowless room eating popcorn together without masks. So we'll see how we feel about that. Almost more important news. I'm to understand that hashtag release the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever is trending right now. If you know me, you know that I do believe that the objective greatest Batman film is Batman Forever out of all of them. So to understand that there is a Schumacher cut, my curiosity is piqued. And so release the Schumacher cut indeed. The most important thing that we have right now is I want to introduce a new member of the family. Jack, why don't you come here, Jack? Oh, Jack, I want to introduce you to a new member of the family. How you doing?
What the hell is this about the Schumacher cut?
Oh, yeah. Apparently
there's
a hot, dark Batman, but except it's Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey and Val Kilmer. So
this would be a good time to like, share, and subscribe what you are seeing right now. You can go to jellyrollchicago.com and make sure that you are watching us on either Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Just as an FYI, if you are watching us on YouTube, you are seeing us in the highest def, 1080. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Which is really important when we do our retrospective of film stuff so far, when we take a look at the works of the great artists who we have featured on the program. So you'll want to make sure to check that out on YouTube so that you can see the full def of the videos that we show. Yeah, that's about everything. Like, share, subscribe. And make sure that you like on Facebook so that you know when we go and do special events like Film Stuffs Light, where Jake riffs about whatever's happening in film news.
I try not to do too many of those because I don't want to pollute the internet with just needless news. But definitely check out Jelly Roll Chicago on YouTube.
And I definitely want to. You can make a contribution to us at Venmo at Jelly Roll Chicago.
If you so desire.
Jake.
That's all you got?
That's all
okay.
I got.
Well, I definitely want to bring DB on, and I know I'm champing at the bit, but I do want to introduce you to our new family member, Mr. Rollo Fish, the Jelly Roll Jellyfish. This is made by the one and only Bones.
Woo-hoo.
Ms. Bones, please visit Bones. Her YouTube channel is Horelius Art, and she's on Instagram as Horelius Art. So the first episode, my cat Lion hung out with us, and ever since then, I've kept a chair open for Lion, but I have to close the door and no one ever wants to come back. So we keep this jellyfish on there, and his name was Pico de Gallo. But Bones thought it was very important that we have our own special. So this is Rollo Fish.
Yay.
And he's our cousin from Brooklyn. We love Rollo fish, the jelly roll jellyfish. So give
Hello, fish.
give Bone some love, and you get the seat of honor, Mr.
Executive
Fish.
chair.
Yeah. All right. Let me tell you about DB.
Please.
Oh, there's. let me tell you about DB. Sorry, I just got distracted by all these comments. There's comments
we got some great comments. Thank you, Luke, for chiming in. Not enough, not nearly enough.
Nope.
Every week with the YouTube. Fuck the YouTube. And then I think that we have some spam porn person who wants us to become famous and whatnot.
Well, thank you for following a spam porn person on Twitch. I appreciate it.
Give us money at Venmo at Jelly Roll Chicago.
So I've talked about it a little bit before, Jack. I used to work at a micro cinema in Chicago called Chicago Filmmakers back when it was just kind of a shitty like attic like above Clark Street. It was, you walk up this long staircase and it was uncomfortable seats, and it's kind of the coolest place in the world because it was sort of hidden, and we'd all show movies. And I had a hard time fitting in. So what I would do was, I know, right?
I actually do find that hard to believe.
It's about, there's a reason why, like, to be able to do this show, I have to host this show. So like, I would do meetups, but I didn't want to go to the meetups. I would volunteer at the meetups, and try and meet people that way. And DB, I think I met my second time, which was an open screening, and open screenings are my absolute favorite. This dude would come hours from the South Side up to Andersonville. And what open screenings are is basically open mics, but for short films. Mm-hmm. So it's like the coolest idea ever. Awesome. Yeah, you come in, you have a 20-minute, 10-minute, 5-minute, whatever, and we all come together, and it is the most eclectic grouping of movies. It was always my very favorite show, because it was just like so unique. Like, where the fuck else are you going to be able to watch this show? Yeah, it's outrageous. And DB was there, like, pretty much my first one. I think he showed a film called Sawbuck, where you just you follow $100 bill around, and I was like, this dude is the Southside Altman. Like, this dude is like, he's there. And then he would show up at the meetups, and he's just always been so supportive. When I've done live shows of Scrapers, I've shown trailers for his feature. Every time I have something coming out, he has something coming out. He's just prolific. One of the more prolific filmmakers that I know. And I said it to Bones. I said it to him during the tech check. I'll say it to everybody right now. I think it's fascinating that you can know somebody for 10 years and actually not really know somebody for 10 years. So that's my big intro. Let's play this special short that DB made so that we're all kind of know what his stuff is like. And then we'll bring DB right on.
My most memorable moment during the wave of the MJ Bulls was in 1990. They had become the talk of the town and surpassed the hype of both the Bears and the Cubs and made their way to the top of the city's totem pole. I remember everybody on my block had a pair of Jordans. Well, everybody except me. But I didn't necessarily want to be like Mike. I was more into Scotty. While Jordan was definitely unstoppable, I thought Scotty could do everything and was the X factor in MJ's dominance. I remember begging Mama every day for a jersey till she finally caved in. But I guess she didn't watch the Bulls as much as everyone else, because when she brought the jersey home, it had a 12 on it. I was so distraught knowing I would get teased if I ever wore it to school, so I tried to hide it. But Mama found it, and she insisted that I wore it the next day. That night, the Bulls were playing the Magic. Orlando had a rookie that grew up in my neighborhood, so everybody was tuned in. As they began to call out the starters, out came MJ, and to my dismay, he was wearing the number 12. I don't know, but I think that was the moment I knew God loved me. The next day at school, I felt so cool in that jersey. Even my teacher, Mr. Morrissey, was impressed I had marked the occasion so quickly. But my stardom didn't last long because the next week, I accidentally threw the jersey in the white clothes hamper and pretty much ruined it. Mama wasn't happy about it, and it didn't make it any better that she had a new assortment of pink clothes. Till this day, I've never actually owned an authentic Bulls jersey, but over the next 8 years, I collected plenty of championship t-shirts.
World champion, Chicago Bulls!
So there's 2 seasons.
Hilarious.
It's wonderful storytelling. Jack, you'll come back, right? You're not
back.
leaving us?
Oh,
Are you
no.
going to leave us forever?
Yes.
You're like done with the show now?
I'm out of here. I'm
Okay.
fucking off. I'm going back to Harlem.
All
Done
right.
with Queens. I'm done with everything. Done with the entertainment industry.
Get out of here. We'll bring DB on. Welcome.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Man, what a talent. I don't even know where to start, DB. I was thinking, it's fun because this show I get to interview Luke. We love the Bulls. I get to interview my friends, and I get to interview like contemporaries, and I also get to interview people that I'm just super fans of. And you are all three. Like I'm just a big fan of your work, and I always have been. I always felt like you just told a story in a completely different way, and watching all your stuff this week really solidified that. Where did the idea to do these kind of multimedia stories about yourself come from?
It actually came about through the year that we kind of came from. I think the Cool Stories Inc. is like the production company that I've come to work with. I think that idea was already brewing, but beforehand, originally, I had thought about doing a lot of short film ideas. I mean, it was always a lot of stories I had kind of broke down my writing in the past years of like not necessarily always kind of trying to write scripts and so the movies that I try to bring to filmmakers all the time, I try to break it down into like these little just stories that I tell like as a hobby more or less than in a professional form. And I started finding a way like, man, I started sharing it with people originally, and people was like, man, I really love reading these and stuff like that. And I was like, man, maybe I should try to bring them to life. And as I was getting along, I had a couple of shorts that I was working on with people, and then that's when the kind of pandemic kind of hit, and then it's like a lot of that stuff got broken down, and I wasn't really even in contact as much as with the people I was working with at that same capacity. And so I was kind of left just thinking. I mean, I'm just in that zone of a person where it's like I always still want to do something, even if I can't do something. So now I'm trying to find out what else I could do. And then I started looking at the stories, and I again started looking at some of the stories, and one of the stories was not like this tale, but it was actually a real life story of mine. I was like, man, I didn't even realize I wrote it. And I narrated it out, and I was like, okay, I sound kind of good. Before, I think one of the reasons why I didn't narrate it out, I didn't necessarily, it was a new medium for me. And I think from the other stories that I wrote, I was always just thinking film. Right. And then when I kind of did this one without having film, I just kind of like narrated out. I had been working with kids before doing some communication audio stories before too. So I had kind of a lot of versed in the equipment of doing it. I had just not thought of doing it on a professional level just yet. And so around that time, though, I had narrated, it sounded pretty good. And I was thinking like, what can I do? How am I about to display this? And out of nowhere, I just stared at the computer. And then when I woke up the next morning, I had all these little pieces around me. And I had created this world with a lot of junk art that I had laying around. And then the only thing was left was my character. And I was just like, how can I really show me? But with putting everybody else in the story, and I wasn't quite realizing it. And I was like, man, I really don't want to just tell my story. I just want to tell our story. I just want to bring my words to life, you know what I'm saying? And then be able to experience them. And as I said that's when I came up with the idea. And I was like, I'm about to bring my words to life. And then I started putting all my friends and started actually putting the words in the characters. But then when I got to me, I was like, dig, okay, do I really want to put DB? And I thought about it and I said, no, I kind of like when in any story that I told about myself, I never actually said that I was Dundadah Bartholomew. I always just said it was me. And I just left it at that. I thought that, you know, and as I tell the story, I'm gonna have the ability to connect with other people because it's not gonna be my story. It's gonna be our story, and whatever way they connect with it, they're gonna always have the ability to see me, quote unquote, instead of DB. And then if they seeing me, and we all seeing me, then we seeing ourselves, and then you know we enjoying this bit of creativity together. And you know, because that's what I made it out of. It was just the love of me wanting to create against all odds in a sense, and just kind of not, you know, using a lot of smaller talents that I had kind of forgot about. Because I wanted to make this big picture. And then it wasn't until I couldn't make that big picture till I started combining those little talents and started building something. And then I look at that episode, it's like my artistic value of that has kind of grown to so much now as I'm even making a movie now of it instead of just these little 3-minute episodes. And it's really like set a fire to me, just like creatively. And it's just like, and not to say that I've left the other thoughts alone, but it's kind of developed them too to a part where I just really know what my power is, I guess, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to just being creative. So I don't know if that would matter a bit, but that, you know, that would be my answer to that.
No, totally. I think that's, it was such a joy watching. I mean, I clocked quite a bit of your stuff and it's all so positive. You have a very positive, kind of buoyant way of telling your stories. And I really appreciate that because, there are some kind of like against all odds, but it really it's just lots of great stories from your childhood. It's such an interesting, different setting than like what I'm used to. But also hearing you talk about why you chose me, like it just adds a completely different level to it. And I highly suggest these shorts. I just love them. And you are, I don't know if it works with your aesthetic, but I was watching it halfway through. I was like, why aren't you showing your face when you're telling these stories? I don't know. But I did notice from the first season to the second season, I love the aspect that, yes, you are telling a story with your voice, but there are these great details, not only in speech bubbles, but like the posters that are on your wall, you know, like you never explicitly say where you're from, but they're old style posters and, you know, I love seeing the Juice poster on your wall. I thought that was great. I
mean, I think the more deeper you get into it, see that, then, you know, and that's what I love. That's why it's really balanced my creativity because it's given me this ability to really do more than what you see. It's like, it's so many levels to it. And I just want to go back to the part where you say, not only to me, is like the other aspect of it too, of these good thoughts is that how these good thoughts allowed me to become the person I am. Because I mean, when you look at it, the first episode, the actual me that's telling the story is not the me that we watch going through the story. And the difference between those two me's is not just that this is a grown-up me, it's a completely different font, right? And so it's showing me, I mean, so the whole address as I go through these seasons is to show how I was this person in this environment, but I use these challenges, I use these lessons that I learned to become this other person that I was always dreaming of. And so that's what makes being me so much special, more than just being DB, because it shows this elaborate ability for anybody to be something that they desire, no matter where they come from, no matter what situations they get into, they can use, because everything that I get into, because even though I'm telling these joy stories, if you go through some of them, you take some of that joyous level off of it and that storytelling ability that I have off of it and take it, some of these stories just for what they are, they're actually not cute stories. I just kind of made them cute. You know what I'm saying? Because I told them and made them agreeable. And so it's like letting you know, like, okay, even if you came from the situation, I came from it, but like I used it to make this though. And so don't look at these things that somebody told you is bad. Look at them as tools that you can use to create something, you know what I'm saying? Unique. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I did. And sometimes we ignore our tools to make something unique because we have this grander idea of what everybody wants to see, instead of realizing like, this is who I am. I need to give them this. This is the art right here. It doesn't need to be adjusted. It just needs to be thrown on the canvas and shown to everybody. And I think that's what me is. And that's how I created it. I just started throwing all the stuff on the canvas till I had this picture and I just spoke my words behind it.
That's wonderful. I love hearing it. Did you really start this at the beginning of the pandemic? You didn't do it before the pandemic?
No, I didn't. The first episode aired May 8th. So I'm almost just a year, just only a year old. And, so the first episode I did on May 8th, I actually started creating it around, I had kind of stopped working in like April, and I started, and that's when I was realizing like, okay, people are not coming over by the house anymore. People having different ideas. I'm not about to move forward with the other shorts I had that was kind of film wise. And so it's like, what am I going to do? I still want to do something. And then that's when I came up with it. It was just a week I was just sitting at home, and then I just came up, and I never stopped since then. And like I said, now I'm at the point where, next week I'm doing a small visit for people to kind of see the film, but I'm actually thinking about putting it in a few festivals because the little feedback that I've been getting so far from it is really great. So as I perfect it, I'm thinking about bigger hopes for that. But I'm also starting another season of it too. So, but it's been what I've been doing, and but not just me though, just Cool Stories Inc. as a whole, just trying to make that bigger and opening the door, kind of use my resources to help other people kind of put some more unique art out there. You know what I'm saying? So
definitely, it's so well put together. I don't know why I thought it had been going for years. You know what I mean? Like it's really impressive what you have accomplished in just a year. I can't recommend Cool Stories Inc. enough. It's just fascinating stuff. How and maybe it's not that interesting, but how exactly is the animation done? Like, how are you going about this animation?
Pretty much it's really basic. I mean, again, I wasn't really an animator from the beginning. I definitely was definitely all into film, and so animation was kind of new to me. It's like, to me, honestly, when I made those first episodes, I didn't even think I was doing animation. I'm calling it animation now because I've become accustomed to saying, okay, what else can I call it? And as I'm getting better at what I'm doing, I think it is becoming to a bit some animation to this point. To me, it's just pretty much, it's just like what everything else is. It's moving pictures. It's pictures in motion, and so that's all it is. I just, instead of using all pictures, I brought words into it. So it's basically using the basic concepts of film. I didn't really change anything. I just used it to my advantage. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said, when you start thinking about the grander scheme and all other things, you put down the real, you realize you don't need this, $10,000 camera, you know what I'm saying, to make, to get a beautiful picture, you know what I'm saying? And that's what or to tell the story in a way that's going to captivate people. And so it's like, I found that medium between what I could create, what I had, and what would, lure people in, you know what I'm saying, and what I could do. And I think it just was created off of that. So it's like, again, it's just basic stuff, and basic tools. And then it's starting to become animation, as now I'm like learning the little tools. And now I'm like, okay, what is animation? How do I do this? And everything I make now is becoming more and more that. So it became from just pictures, a collaboration of pictures, to flip photos, to what later on may be, you know what I'm saying? You be like, he looking like Pixar now. So it's like,
without a doubt.
I've said it, if you say I did this much in a year, now I'm wondering what 2 years is going to do. So,
For real. And yes. So tell us about this feature. I thought it was wonderful timing that this feature is coming out. It's the Legend of the Black Ratnaraj.
The Legend of the Black Ratnaraj. So it's basically, I like to say it's a true story masked as a tall tale. So it's basically an adventure about me going out to find a special treasure. But when I get back, I found out that the treasure is not only wanted by me, but by this crew of people called the Kuminamabli. That may weatably be a metaphor for something else. But as I find out, saying that they wanted, I found out how to get it back and properly find out how to use the power and save the community and make everybody else. So just another story where, I'm using the situations that kind of happened to me growing up in my neighborhood, and kind of showing how I use that to kind of create not a better environment for myself, for my friends, my family, but, also, creating the person that I want to become. It was being an artist as a kid a lot, a lot of people don't necessarily always have directions for you, and sometimes, people who care about you are usually scared for you, because, it's how it goes. So it's a thing where to be at this point where I feel free and happy with, you know what I'm saying, being who I am, and not feeling like, you know, I have to be Spike Lee in order to feel like, you know what I'm saying, I have to be able to show myself off to those people. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel good about it, you know what I'm saying, because this is what it in all, even though this just seems like it's just an episodic show I'm doing, it's like did a lot of different things for me personally, because it took me into my true roots. And then I grew for real because, you know, and I actually saw the tree that I was supposed to be, instead of, you know, the tree that I was just trying to, thought I had to become, you know what I'm saying?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievably introspective and retrospective. And I don't know if this is ever going to be an intent, but after watching both seasons, I was like, I'm ready for the film. Like, I'm ready for you to write the script and see what this movie is. This almost like, I know I haven't, this might not be fair because I haven't seen the Florida Project, but it feels like there's this idea of like, I don't know, just I want to see the movie of your childhood because it's a beautiful thing, but it's in the south side of Chicago, so there's everything else going on. Also, you talk about, you know, the time frame of it in the early 90s and everything that's going on. It's just, I really want to see the film. Is that anything that you would like? Would you do it?
You know, I'm you know, we'll see. I guess it's more about, you know, growth and everything, and like putting stuff together. So, you know, I got so many ideas, you know, that's all I really do. Like to even though I'm doing this, I think my bottom creativity is writing. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm always writing. It's like I got a wall full of like a list of things that I've, you know, ideas that I'm just working on. One after I do one, it's always another one that pops up. So, I mean, definitely a lot of the stories that I tell are my own. So it's definitely in the making, I guess. So I guess a lot of things I do, I guess, is my ability to show it to you guys, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I do it one time because I want to make it. I do the other part because, you know, I want people to, you know, I want people to see what I'm making. So, you know, so definitely.
I'm so glad you've chosen to share these stories in this way. I think it's super, super cool. And it's wholly unique. When you first dropped it, I was like, I don't know what the hell you're doing right now. But then watching it makes perfect sense in the combination of, just you're so steeped in writing and words, and to see that kind of acted out in that way, and the quick little bits here and there, I just love it. And I love that it seems like with each season there's new dimensions to be unfolded.
Yeah, and that was that's one of my favorite parts of the show too. Like because I've grown to become a fan of it, and one of my favorite parts is that because sometimes I've, you know, because it's so much of me, a lot of it was created unintentionally. It's like accident delivered. I'm just being myself. And one of the things I really love about it that it has three components. You listening to me, you watching the stuff, and then the captions is a whole nother thing because I don't necessarily make sure it's not always. I let those three levels are their own story. It's like I don't let the captions, you know, keep up with me talking. I want you to make sure that, you know, go to a different, because they kind of their own story as well. So, you know, everything is layered, you know, as they say.
And as inspirational as it gets, that's where the stories end up being humorous. You can tell from the one that we watched, but like the little blips, if you can pause it and read what's being said, it's just wonderful. The other thing I really want to see, I think Mama is just like the greatest character ever. I love your mama. For what that's worth.
I want to say this though, as I say that, you know, and talk about all the stuff about people pushing you and stuff like that. One of the best things that's come out of me doing this program is the relationship that I've had with my mother because of this show.
Really?
And like, you know, I don't know if we had like the best relationship growing up. I mean, I was an adventurous kid, so you know, you know, so at that point, you know, and very creative and wanted to do my own thing. So you know, I probably was, you know, a hell of a low, but I mean, it's brought us very closer because it's had me ability not only to use these stories as entertainment, but I think it has been a bit of a therapy to be able to say these things and be able to think about them and see how they range me, and then be able to give her opportunity to hear me out in a sense and tell stories that she was a part of from a point of view that she never got to see, because maybe at them points in time in my life, I wasn't as articulate as I am now, and especially not as articulate to her. You know what I'm saying? So I think it has given us the abilities to have deep conversations over this year about some of the things that I've been able to say and some of the things I've been able to express in inside some of those captions and bubbles through the story. So, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, and the way I was able to like show her too, you know what I'm saying? So I think one of the best things about doing this is the relationship that it let me build with my mother.
I'm so glad to hear that. It's just so it's so clear. She is the second character. It's like her and Moto. It seems like definitely Mama. Yeah. But I really want to hear her stories too. You know, like it's fun hearing about her from your point of view, but like I would love a spin-off series. I'm just giving you work to do. But you know, like just tell your mom that I think she's a star already. You made her a star. And also it's just close because I'm a mama's boy, and you know, my mom watches every show. She's watching right now. Jack's mom watches. And it's just that universal me thing of it, you know.
Well, you know, more than the story is about me. It is. I mean, if it's not about me, it's about Mama. It's about how Mama did all these things for me. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to look at it from a mother's perspective, I guess, and not from the kid's perspective, I guess it is a story about Mama, because all the stuff that I was done, it was in the parameters of Mama's guidance. So without guidance, I really wouldn't have a story, because it's about me trying to escape those parameters to be adventurous and creative. So definitely.
Well, then that's, I guess, okay. Well, that's the place to start with the feature then, I guess. It's you and Mama in the city and just fucking roll. That's my mom. My mother. Just making sure everyone's represented. So, okay. Let's show another. I have another short. This is called The Time Machine. And I thought it was, I thought it captured things really nicely. These are the two shorts that I thought just kind of captured this series for me personally. So, Jack, if you don't mind, let's roll this and talk to DB about it after.
Now I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna end mine. If you ain't down for the Africans here in the United States, period, point blank, if you ain't down for the ones that suffered in South Africa from apartheid and shit, damn it, you need to step your...
As a kid, I thought reading was cool, but I really just wanted to write. I flipped through the pages of a dictionary more than any other book, and it was mostly so it could help me have more ways to say things. But it was when I came across this book, The Time Machine, that I changed my outlook on reading altogether. I realized I just had to find books that suited my taste. And soon reading had went from cool to fascinating. One summer, the local library became my fave spot, as I became a fan of an assortment of writers, and not to mention the library's central air conditioning. I ran through the timeless tales of Richard Wright and Zora Neale to the epic stories of Donald Goines. I even realized that some of my favorite movies were books first. I remember winning an award for a reading contest, and Mama treated me and my little sister to Shakey's. After we came home, I had caught the itis and fell right to sleep. But that night, I had one of the most weirdest dreams ever. I had told Moto that I built a time machine, and I needed his help to start it. When I got inside, I told him to get ready to pull the lever. I set the destination to about 30 years into the future, then I strapped in. And before I gave him the nod, I passed him my Andre Dawson baseball card in efforts to improve my luck. He safely tucked it away, then looked to me as he pulled the lever down. And as the lever clicked, I could feel every single atom that made me dancing to the sound of light. The world had turned completely black for a second. Then I could see the light slowly begin to creep back in. But at the same time, it was moving really fast. Possibly zooming through the seconds I had taken for granted and turning them into hours, days, months, and then years until I finally had arrived in the year 2020. I stepped out into this future world, but I quickly noticed that a lot of things were the same. I mean, I could tell it was the future, but I thought the world would be better by now. It was still full of senseless crime, racism, greed, hate, and bad politics. I had seen enough, but a part of me wanted to know what I had become, and if Mama was okay. And as I decided to complete my quest, I found out the future world was under attack by some virus. and my country still didn't think justice was for everyone. The past wasn't great, but I felt like I'd be way safer there. So I ran back and I hopped in a time machine like it was the General Lee, while pulling a lever down myself, and soon headed back in time. When I arrived, Moto was still standing there. He said not much time had passed, but he lost my baseball card. And right as I was about to become seriously irate, I could hear Mama calling me, saying I was going to be late for the first day of school. It was then when I woke up in my bed with a book as my pillow, realizing it was just a dream, and everything was as it was. Throughout the years, reading has vastly improved my writing abilities. Things are a bit more digital now, but I still cop a hard copy or two ever so often. And I never actually built a time machine, though I always thought about it, and still do. But as I look around the world we live in today, it's possible that this whole time, I was one myself.
Thank you. Thanks for showing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you, what kind of reaction do you have to it now, like watching it now?
To me, you know, I don't know. I guess it's a mixed reaction. Sometimes, like I have, it's a little bit of heartfelt reaction. Is I think I see the stories different. I think at them times I'm in a whole nother story zones now. I'm telling new stories. So as I see those stories now, they feel different. They feel like I'm not telling them anymore. It's feel like I'm listening to them. Part two is like I'm so far in the future now with where I'm at. They feel a little older. I know it's only a year ago, but it feels like 20 years ago to me. It's like, wow, man, this how this used to look. Like, okay, dang, this like I said, I was doing that. Okay, it's like, wow. So a little bit old, a little bit heartfelt. And it just took me back for a minute. Just really like, you know, I was in a time machine for a second. Just both in that time of last year when I made it, when I was putting out the grind that I kind of went through of like just being able to just do it and to kind of want to get to ideas of people to see it in a time where I really didn't talk to many people. And then actually like the real thoughts of where the story came from in those childhood years and like, you know what I'm saying, thinking of the things I went through and how I kind of didn't understand at the time, but understand now how a lot of stuff was affecting me. And so a lot of those things just went through my mind right now, you know, simultaneously. So it was like that's where I was at. But also, you know, I always look forward to see him as, you know, as now as though then it was only so many people seeing them. And as I see more people and I begin to talk to more people, I see now more people knowing about it and asking me about it and seeing stuff that may not be watching, you know, even though I'm putting out the Ratner right now. Somebody may just be seeing that I did a year ago, but it's still good to see those reactions. Though, even though I may feel like these a little older or the things I'm feeling, to still see these new reactions from people who are seeing it now, and it's joyous to kind of feel like, okay, maybe I really did make some unique art that you know that can stand the test of time. That's really good, and not just you know just some by the time that I had in that blimp of you know loneliness of a space at that time when you know back then. So, but no, yeah.
Absolutely. I that's one of the things I found with my YouTube channel is like it was just more about it's about the time capsule aspect of it. It's less this weird posterity of it all. Like this is how I'm feeling right now. It needs to come out. It's a classic artist thing. I think it's one of the things I really admire about your work throughout everything I've seen is just like the artist comes through no matter what. Everything seems very personal, and that dictates story. You know, like you don't fall into. We just watched "Oh No, He Didn't," and just kind of not falling into usual structure and following the characters the way you want to follow the characters and telling the plot the way you want to tell the plot. And it's wonderful. And actually, not to like blow smoke or anything, but by the time that movie was done, I was like, in the best way possible, DB, the best way possible. This movie beat Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in terms of structure 3 years ahead of the time. Yeah. Like just in terms of like this, like it feels like it's steeping. It's characters steeping in a teacup. You know, you just follow and experience these situations, and I can't suggest it enough. I highly, highly suggest it.
Well, that's been always my thing. It's been a gift and a curse to just want to do things my way. But I've always felt like, especially when it comes to my art, though, as though that's always the way to do it, because that's what makes it genuine. And and I wouldn't, and I really would never do it and put anything above just being able to expression. And so and so that's what it's all about. And so to hold that back would be a crime. So even if it doesn't. So even if nobody likes it, if I had the ability to express myself and do it a way in which I thought would work, and had the ability to know that it would or would not work, would mean way more to me than, a million people seeing something that I really didn't even believe in, and did because somebody made me do it away, and I didn't get to express myself, but I had to express somebody else's feelings that I didn't agree with, just because this is the way it would work, And so it's like, I would rather do it my way and feel that joy, So that's what it's always about.
And that's why I've always been following your work, or why I continue to follow your work since Sawbuck, just because like you're telling your story, and there's almost nothing I respect more than that. The only other thing is just the sheer hustle, like the sheer amount of work. And I'll bring Jack on in a second, but I do need to say one of the things that I'm so amazed by is like, when you do your live action work, and we haven't touched on your live action work really, there's tons of people in these movies. You have the ability to get, I can't get anyone to work on my stuff sometimes, and I'm watching this movie with like a cast of 45 people. I don't know. I guess I don't really have a question. I'm just kind of amazed by it. Can you tell me about that?
I am, and I'm not really a busybody like that. But I would say this is the hardest part ever about making a film, especially independently, is that you have to communicate with so many people. And sometimes, most of us artists, we make things for people. We don't make things with people a lot of times, And so having to do that and have to communicate and make them move on accord sometimes is always the hardest thing. But I think when you're destined and you really want to do something, sometimes I guess, I just call it kind of just blessed sometimes that those people fall in the way of time. And so sometimes I just feel like, when it came to, oh, no, he didn't. It just happened that, I was in a place in life where I met all those people who are pretty much comedians who were kind of like starting what they were doing. And some of them had already been established and stuff, but like to see too at them now and like look at them and what they're doing and seeing. And when you're seeing all these people that you work with, and I think about all other movies, but not that's that one, but you brought that one up, and just to see like, okay, I work with him now, and just to see how much they've done and grown too is just always great. But it was a time in my life where I just saw all those people and knew they were around, and and I was just like, man, hey, and I just, like I told somebody earlier, closed mouth don't get fed. I said my game to them about what I was doing. They loved the idea, and they saw the work ethic, and they just rolled with it, and and I pushed behind them until it was done. But once I'm going, I'm at 100 full speed, so you can't stop me until it's over. And so I think so that's part of it too. So once I'm adjusted and know this is what I'm doing, it's really hard for me not to get accomplished. So if it was going to be 200 people in the movie, once you got me to say, all right, I'm going to produce this, I'm going to get 200 people to be in it. But one good thing about me, for the best part of being a person like that, is that me is something to this point outside of my help with audio and sound from people who are specialties in making sure that sound is better as I moved up creating it. It's something that I've created totally alone. Yeah. I haven't had that burden of conducting, being a ringleader, a circus. What I think that's what you call a guy with the you know what I mean?
MC? Yeah.
I haven't had the pleasure of being that lately. So
do you want to go back to it, or are you like
definitely? Okay. I think when I look at Cool Stories, I got this thing. This is where the platform of where I'm at with it, but I still think it's a lot of films that's right now that I'm looking forward to doing. So I mean, it's in the future. I think right now I'm also letting things happen too. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I think as in the position we is as community wise. I think me is best for me right now to kind of have something and not have to worry about kind of getting into that right away and have to worry about other people getting into that right away, or, you know, doing other things outside of what they've been longing to do. So it give me the ability to kind of see the field out, you know what I'm saying, and still kind of do the things that I'm doing while getting prepared to kind of do that again. But definitely, like I said, I'm a writer at heart. So it's just so many scripts that's waiting to kind of get done and produced. So it's just about, you know, just the timing. And so, like I said, you know, when you asked me how did I get those with people, it was the timing. I just fell into that time. So I think when the live action comes again, it's going to kind of be, you know, a blessing situation like that too, where like, now that I'm ready to make this great film, now there's all these great actors around and great people that's willing to help produce it with me behind the scenes as well. So, yeah, so. Yeah, but Ringmaster, that's him, yeah.
Jack, oh Jack, I think now is a wonderful time. How you doing, Jack? Jack, what's burning on your brain? What crazy question, Jack? Don't hold back.
I have so many questions.
No. Don't hold back.
I'm holding it all inside.
On your forehead. Please tell us what you want to know.
So,
please.
So many questions. Let me tell you all about the questions themselves. Okay. It's like you were saying a moment ago, Jake, just how much work goes into this. And yeah, to reiterate, for the whole Me series, you're animating it, you're writing it, you're narrating it, you're editing all of it. And damn, man, that just... So my real question is, when do you sleep? When do you get up? And when do you eat breakfast? Because even before the show, you were saying that you go on runs in the morning now. So you're not human. You're artificial intelligence.
It definitely feels like that sometimes. But that's often where I go. Sometimes I'm in the world wondering, like, am I a real person? Like, is this just like some computer-rated universe that I've created that I'm just a part of and just don't know? Because it seems like I'm moving so much differently than everybody else sometimes. But yeah,
you just have this crazy amount of discipline, and I was wondering if you could speak to that, just about. I don't want to say tell me about the process of it, but I mean how your writing is just so concise, and these just feel like you just really have your nose to the grindstone on getting these out and making them really good, and they're such good quality. So, you know, you clearly have a goal in mind for, like, you know, you're good at budgeting your time, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know what, it's just that I'm probably actually bad at budgeting my time. I'm just good at using my time to create. Mm-hmm. And so as long as I'm being productive, I'm in love. But if it's things that's not productive, I've probably lost attached to it a little bit, you know. So, and so that's the downside. But so nobody really knows about me losing all those things but me. So the things if it's not being productive, everybody sees those. But those things that's not productive, and it's just like, you know, spending time, you know, socially, and, you know, maybe a little love affairs every now and then. Those things get neglected because I'm always trying to create and do things that make me better. But at the same time, I think it also advances the people that I'm around too, because I think I'm always a spirited pushing towards being better. Even if I do it in a coachy type of way, it's always something about making somebody, the next person, better, because that's always what I'm thinking about, is making something better. And so I think the ability and to go back to me, knowing that I can change myself and be something, I think that has me disciplined, because I think it works. And I believe, like, if I work at something and if I do it and I stay on it, that I actually can achieve it. And I think that I'm not scared of that. I think a lot of times people are scared that to dive into something that they're not used to a lot of times, because they're not worried if it's not going to work or not. And I think I have gotten to a point where I'm not worried about if something's going to work or not. I'm just going to do the work and let it happen. And so now that I know that, I think that's where the discipline comes from. But I think a lot of it comes too is just because most of the stuff that you see me so disciplined that it's the stuff I really love to do. And it has all the stuff I don't love to do. So you never see me not doing that. I think that's all.
What was your favorite book as a kid, and what are you into now?
I think my favorite book as a kid was actually H.G. Wells' and the Time Machine. I think it was actually a Jaws 2. Those are my first two books I really love. I think also as a kid, I was a real big Richard Wright fan. So everything about that. But Black Boy was one of the books that really touched me and made me kind of want to be a writer. Also, I was really a kid of not just books, but poetry. I really love Langston Hughes and Paul Dunbar. It's like really put me in a vogue where I felt like I could say anything the way I wanted to and express myself. And it also put me in a point. It's like a lot of my writing comes, especially these me stories, come from like me. I do a lot of poetry sometimes too, just not necessarily like spoken word, but I like to like put words together. I like to combine them in a sense. And I think they gave me the idea of kind of like using words any way I want to, and even like, you know, how they have fun with their dialect, and it just gave me an open amount. So I think reading stuff like that always put me open. I think now today I don't read as much stories as I read research. I research a lot. So a lot of the things I read today is about learning about people and things, you know, Atlas of the Vermin World, like behind you. So I'm reading a lot of stuff like that. Like I'm more adventurous in my thoughts now. So I want to find out how to do things, how things work, how people think. And so I'm not as into stories as I used to be as a kid, because I usually kind of telling the stories now. And so I guess I'm more looking for more ammo to tell stories about as I get more adventurous, and my imagination still grows. You know, even more bigger than it was when I was a child, because, you know, now I see what that imagination did for me as a child. So I just know if I put it up now, I'll be killing the growth that I had back then. So I think it's all has a lot to do with that, though. So
nice. Constantly moving on to more and more creative stuff. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Is your writing like specifically screenplays, or do you have a novel in you? Do you have a memoir in you? Do you have books of poetry like on your wall right now that you've already? I think I've opened myself to all type of writing. I think too, that's what part of Cool Stories is about, was me realizing like, hey, I just be writing stuff down, like, you know, to any degree I had, you know, not in these little short stories where it's a paragraph. But I've wrote, and this is the way what I'm saying. If you look at it long enough and read it 4 times, you'll realize all these things I'm trying to say in these 4 words, even though and on the surface, it looked like I just said something really wild and off the book, but I really tried to say something. So in that form of thing, I've gotten into that. And so because of that, I've had all these different mediums of writing. So it's not just that, and I'm looking forward to possibly like writing a book, possibly. But I guess right now, I just love to also add the visual aspect of it. So taking over my time right now, but I do see like other mediums in the future, as, you know, as I grow, and as, you know, I learn to get connected with other people that kind of want to do things with me. It may give me some other times to like have some other thoughts, because maybe I can, you know, let some other things rest for a minute, you know what I'm saying? You know, as a build up. So I let time tell it, you know, like I was just saying with the movie, next time I'll be doing it when it's time. So I probably maybe will be putting out a book or a poetry, or maybe even a book of stories, or a story eventually when the time comes, when, you know, everything is in place. So Nice.
When you do the me stories, do you start out in screenwriting mode, like you would just, I'm going to write a movie right now or work on a screenplay? Or is it just kind of like whatever's kind of happening around you? It seems like it's coming very organically. It's like, oh, I'm going to talk about this right now. Just reach over here into this pocket of my head.
Well, you know what? I'll say the first season didn't start like that, because the first season, I realized that I was going to tell stories about me once I picked the initial story. I think the first story that I wrote for me that I realized I was going to use for me was the story Country Barn. I think it's actually the second episode of it. And when I wrote that, and really I decided that, man, these stories are actually about me, when I realized, like, I think because I was telling stories just as jotting them down, it's just sometimes I wake up in the morning and I just start, and I pick up, and I don't use a pencil anymore. I'm usually using my notes on my iPad. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I still think I should use a pen. I wake up in the morning and I just type a little, jot or something, and I had already wrote the story, but I never really looked at it because I just write them all day. I got like a whole notepad, look like an encyclopedia library full of just stories, of little stories I wrote. But when I started making it, I looked at it and I was like, wait, this is a real story about me. And I just kind of wrote it and then realized it, but this is a real story about me. And when I realized I was making that story, I think all the stories in that first season was stories that I had realized, hey, I'm about to tell this story too. Now that I realized I'm telling this story, I'm about to tell this story too. All the stories that I thought that, man, I should tell the world about one day if I told these stories, but never thought I would really tell them because they was just stories. But now I had this opportunity to tell them, like, you know, because now I'm thinking like in cartoon mode. Now I'm getting this chance to actually have a cartoon about myself and tell these stories. I kind of picked those stories out. When it came to the second season, it was a couple stories I knew I wanted to do, basically Firebug, because it was one of my favorite stories about with Miyamoto. Because all these stories are real, they're true stories. To some extent, I may elaborate them in a fun way, but they are true. And then the Thunderbird story, which is a friend of mine, was an actual true story. I knew I was going to tell those stories. The other stories were pretty much kind of holiday based, because the initial episode was about Halloween. Then there was a Thanksgiving episode, it was a Christmas episode. So they was kind of like, I pulled them out. I was like, okay, it's Halloween. Which story should I tell? What was my favorite Halloween story? And I thought about it. Oh, that one. What was my favorite Thanksgiving story? Oh, that one. And I pulled them out like that in that manner for the second season. After I moved to the Ragnarok movie and I moved to the third season, I think it'll be a mixture of both. It's been some stories that I've really been like, man, I didn't get a chance to tell that. I'm gonna work on that, and it's gonna be a mix of, you know what? Now that I see an audience and stuff like that, and now I have some opportunities to kind of experiment a little bit. Maybe I will tell some stuff out of this, pull some stuff out of myself ahead. But as I outlined the first episode, I will probably have. Well, you know what? Now that I think about it too, 3 of those episodes, like the last Dance episode, that was an episode that I just pulled out of my head. I had never expected to play that, but at that same time, that's when Michael Jordan was airing that ESPN special.
Right.
And I was like, you know what could I do right now to kind of fit in with what's going on? And I said, you know what, I'm gonna make an episode about my favorite Bulls history in the 90s. I'm telling my stories that happened in the 90s was my favorite Bulls story. And I thought about that story and I told it. So yeah, I'm always probably gonna have an episode, or even maybe if I'm even not doing the season, I think it's in me to like see a special event and then think of something that happened in that special event, and then like, you know what, I'm gonna do a special episode because this is happening, and I'm gonna try to equate my tales and my history to try to give some meaning to this event, or just some knowledge, a way I can spit some knowledge to the youth through a me story on that way. So I think it'd be a mixture of both as we go ahead. But starting, I kind of knew what stories I was going to tell, and and as I get older, because the stories about me growing up, and if it lasts long to get older, it's still some stories as I get older and I move past maybe this kid stories and maybe move into a little teen. It's definitely some teen stories I know I have to tell. But as I move along, I think it'll be a mixture of both, Jack.
Sure.
Beautiful. Like you're really creating a web.
Yeah.
One of my favorite episodes, we're not going to watch it, but maybe we can for Film Stuff So Far. I'll ask you about that. But is the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
And but I just wanted to know if you could tell us more about You Lack, You Lose. And because that's kind of where the story ends on. And I just wanted to know, I like that line a lot, and I wanted to know what that means to you now as an adult when you tell that story.
For the most part, it just lets me know, like a lot of them saying, I think, the whole basis of the whole stories in the first place is about, when I told you to begin, is a lot of times I realized I was shooting for something more than I should have. And I didn't realize that, a lot of stuff that I'm doing right now, I didn't necessarily need everything that I thought I needed to have it. And so it's like, if you don't understand what you have, you don't understand what you got. If you don't understand what's the environment around you, then how can you win if you're not paying attention to what you have and what you possess and what's the things that's coming near you. So it only puts you in a bad situation. And so therefore, in those situations, that's what I've taken from it and learned. And so it's my awareness. I'm here now, not only of my environment, but of myself. You know what I'm saying? And even when I get into altercations at times, it's just like, it's not always about, I learned how to question. It's a theory where my perspective has changed. I think that's what it is. And like a lot of times I used to see things straightforward, right? Yeah. And now I've learned to elevate myself, and now I see things from above. You know what I'm saying? So now I get to see what I'm doing too wrong, and I can fix the whole situation. And it's better because I understand what it is, and so I guess you lack, you lose if if you're not willing to apprehend all that's there for you to be aware of, then you're gonna miss out on the things that it is to receive. So, or you're gonna receive the wrong things. You know what I'm saying, basically.
Right. Thanks. I appreciate that.
True.
Yeah. But I mean, some of these episodes do I also have to watch again, so to make sure that everything. But definitely, yeah. I mean, for the most part, it's definitely how I was feeling though. But Trouble is actually in the movie though, so that's one of characters. Yeah, so that made it to the big screen. So not too many other characters made it, but Trouble did make it to the big screen though.
Oh, nice.
So glad you brought him up.
Well, he's another character that I definitely want to see more of. It's a very, I mean, your stuff obviously is cinematic, but that particular episode, that's a very cinematic kind of ending. That's there's a lot of stuff that we like seeing in that kind of stuff.
Well, actually, that was my last. I started actually. I didn't even really have a really decent computer when I first started doing me. That was actually the last. I actually have got some new equipment like in the beginning of the year. So it was like the last episode I did on like this really, really old computer, like that was from like 1999. It was very old. With not a lot of space.
What was the rendering time like on those videos?
Yeah, man, it's a lot quicker to make episodes now. Like so, but I don't know if I would have made it that far if I was still on that computer. But I totally upgraded. But it was the funnest though too. So to make it was when I really realized like I was really in tune with how to make the stories and what I was doing with them. Totally. So
yeah,
that and Gemstone is one of my favorite episodes. So I always show people Gemstone. So
we actually have the Gemstone trailer, right?
Yeah,
I think I have a trailer
we do.
for Gemstone.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we watch it real quick before we say goodbye?
I remember my first crush. Her name was Crystal. Well, actually, my second crush was named Crystal too, but this is about the first. And although
it's like
just
a line
wet
right out of a novel.
Yeah,
like the first line of a good book.
Yeah.
DB, I can't thank you enough for hanging out with us. Well, okay, before we say goodbye, one, will you come back and talk to us again at some point?
I will come back, and I will let you know that
Andy's gone.
I got these on the way for you and Jack. All right, so
you're so sweet. I can't wait.
So soon they're coming, okay?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
All right.
I'm a small, by the way.
Okay, I got you.
In shirt size.
I am extra large.
Okay, I got you.
An extra X every year. How can people watch your feature when it pops off? What, in a week, 2 weeks?
In a week. Well, I am putting an unofficial version on the site, coolstoriesinc.com on the 26th. I'll leave it up there probably a few days. I'm going to actually put it in the festival, so it's going to be private, so it's going to be a code up there. The code might be birthday because that's actually the day that I'm going to release it. That's one of the reasons I'm putting it out on 26 because it was like a gift to myself.
Woohoo!
Happy birthday.
I wanted to make a movie for myself, and so I made a movie for me, about me. And so I'm gonna put it out with a private code. It's probably gonna be birthday. You can use a private code to watch it. Until then, I'm gonna try to see if it makes a festival run. If it does, then I'll be premiered it there. If it doesn't, then I'm gonna find some big hoopla to put it out again and make sure everybody sees it. But I think it's a really good film. It's kind of touching base with a lot of stuff that's going on now. Plus, it's still cute, fuzzy, and entertaining. Regardless if you get the message or you don't, you still just gonna have a ball watching it. It's from what I've seen so far. And if you like the other episodes, you definitely gonna like this. And so the difference of it is it's not short and quick. It gives you even more of it with the same great joy. So I'm looking forward to people seeing it. So
I'm first in line.
.com, definitely. The code will be on there. So if you go on there, they'll show you how to get to it and watch it if you're a fan of the show. So definitely.
Beautiful. What day is that again? When's your birthday?
The 26th of June.
All right. Well, happy birthday. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Yep. Jack, any final wrap 'em up questions for our friend DB today?
DB, what have you been watching this week?
What have I been? I've been watching Low Key. I watched Low Key. Low Key and basketball. Yep.
Has basketball been good? This is me talking sports right now. Has basketball been good?
It's been out. You know, once you get into those games that they'll go off at 12 o'clock, I kind of be sleeping nowadays. So
right.
I watch the East Coast games. I don't watch the West Coast games that much. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Jack, what you watching?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, okay, good classic. Yeah.
Yeah. Never seen it before. First time.
Okay.
Those are some effects in that movie.
Yeah, there was a lot of love that went into that movie.
Definitely.
A lot of good prosthetics.
I don't think I've seen it all the way through.
You know, it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
You see the beginning, you see the end, you know.
Fair enough. I've seen clips.
Yeah.
Jake, what about you?
It's been a real whirlwind for me. I don't want to keep us here. But it's been a healthy mix of ultra. I watched Silence by Scorsese, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched Hacksaw Ridge, and those are just like really heavy Catholic dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've also been watching all of the YouTube tea. All of the YouTube tea has been like, there hasn't been anything. And then this week, everything exploded, and I can't stop watching it. And everyone is dropping videos and everyone is reviewing it. And it's so somewhere between ultra Catholic tragedies and the worst YouTube gossip.
I'm sure Ned Beatty has shown up in there somewhere. He's always in a cross section somewhere.
We'll all watch Network this weekend for Ned Beatty. DB, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. This has been so much fun, and I think this is like the longest conversation we've had one-on-one. I can't wait. It's great. I can't wait for another one.
Yeah, well, I'm been watching Low Key too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm debating whether I want to start now or if I want to wait until they're all done. That's what I did with Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Wait till it was all done and watched everything in 2 nights, I think. So.
Well, you know, I'm frantic. I don't have too much. I mean, maybe I got to find me something else to watch. I've been frantic for some new stuff, so I guess that's what it is.
Got some Killer Clowns for you to watch, DB.
Oh, yeah. Killer Clowns. I guess I'll watch that for the week.
It's even got a theme song. Killer Clowns.
Cool. Jack, you learned that for the next film stuffs so far, and we'll start the show with that. This has been so much fun. I don't know who the guest is going to be next week, so it's a mystery guest, and we will figure that out as we go along. I'll just keep thanking you, and I have a million more questions, and I can talk for another hour. So if I don't say goodbye now, then I'm never going to say goodbye. DB, Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right, see you, Jake.
Thanks, DB.
Jack, thanks so much, and I will see you guys in the future.
What's that billowing down the stairs? Look, I'm really starting to worry. There's half-eaten cupcakes everywhere. We're all out of paper clips, and the curtains smell like doob. What? No. What? No. What? Well, that's where I used to grow my weed. But that's a story for another day. Never mind. We drove around until 3 a.m. looking for another all-you-can-eat fish restaurant.
And when you couldn't find one?
We went fishing. Yes, I have something that I'd like to sell.
Please tell me it's your hair.
No,